Imagine it's the late 1800s. The sun is setting over a small town, and for the past few weeks, children have been disappearing without a trace. Panic spreads like wildfire. Parents keep their children close, but no matter what they do, every night, another child disappears. The townspeople begin to whisper about a mysterious man, dressed in dark clothing. They say his music is irresistible and that the children are drawn to it. Once they hear it, they can't resist. They call him the Pied Piper. But here's the twist. This is rooted in something that really happened, and parents used it as a 19th century parenting hack. Because when you're dealing with toddlers who have the survival skills of a lemon, you'll say just about anything to keep them safe. Today we're breaking down the top 5 lies we tell our children and the history behind those lies, from the absurd to the hilarious. Why do we keep passing these down? And more importantly, what does it say about us? Let's dig into it. Up first on the list of lies we tell our children: if you swallow gum, it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. Now, we've all heard this one. I grew up hearing this one. If you swallow gum, it'll just hang around in your belly like an unwanted house guest. But this lie was never about digestion. It was always about control. Back in the 1800s, chewing gum was considered unladylike, almost scandalous. I guess the opening and the closing of the mouth and the smacking, people just didn't want to see women doing it. And swallowing that gum when you got caught with it, practically criminal. Think about it. People would rather see you spit the gum into their hand, saliva and all.
You gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing.
Rather than just swallow it. So parents leaned into fear tactics. Swallow that and you'll be stuck with it for 7 years. It wasn't just about health. It was making sure that women didn't step out of line. Oppressive? Yeah. Effective? Clearly. Fast forward to today, and gum is everywhere, from baseball dugouts to middle school desks. But one thing is for sure, it is not hanging out in your stomach for 7 years. Unless you're part goat. What's the weirdest thing anyone ever told you not to eat as a kid? Drop it in the comments. Let's compare notes. For me, it was seeds of any kind. Watermelon seeds, pear seeds, apple seeds. Apparently, if you swallowed it, you would grow that sort of tree in your stomach. So weird. Next up, the lie that turned our facial expressions into a game of chicken. If you keep making that face, it'll get stuck like that. Sounds ridiculous? Yeah, well, it gets weirder. This one dates back to ancient folklore. People believed that spirits were always watching. Petty, vindictive spirits. And if you mocked them by making a disrespectful face, they would freeze it. Just like that. This lie wasn't just about stopping kids from making silly faces at adults. It was actually about ghostly grudges. You can think of it as an early form of social media cancel culture. Honestly, if spirits were being that petty, then I'd say they're overdue for some therapy. But if it helped to keep kids in line, I guess it's okay. When I was growing up, I couldn't speak when adults were speaking. Like, what I had to say wasn't as important as what the adults were saying. I'm still a little bitter about that one. What's the pettiest reason an adult ever stopped you from doing something? I want to hear your stories. Drop them in the comments. All right, number 3, storks bringing babies. This one is a classic. Storks, babies. If you were like me, you had questions like, what are the storks doing with all these babies? Are they running some sort of international trafficking ring? Like, what's happening with the storks? I want to know. But the origin story of this one is pretty interesting. This myth comes from Norse mythology. Norse mythology. Try saying that 5 times fast. Where storks were symbols of fertility and family. In the 1600s, storks were seen as protectors of unborn children. If a family had trouble conceiving, they would often pray for a stork to show up as a sign of hope. Soon, the myth just got twisted and it just stuck. Here's the weird part. Early versions of this tale didn't have storks bringing the babies, just watching them. Creepy. I already have 2 little kids, so if a stork brings a baby to my doorstep, send it back. All right, real talk. Did you ever believe the stork thing? Tell me the truth. Leave it in the comments. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about the tooth fairy. She's supposed to be this magical being that swaps teeth for cash. Sounds sweet, right? Well, the real story is a little less Disney, a little more Guillermo del Toro. In early European traditions, it's always the Europeans. People believed that witches could curse you if they got a hold of your teeth. So parents used to bury their children's teeth in the ground to protect them. Fast forward a few centuries and the tooth fairy got reinvented in a more kid-friendly sort of way. Instead of saying we're burning and burying your teeth to keep the witches away, they just started slipping them a quarter. Nothing says safety like a glittery bunny who steals body parts. So maybe next time a kid loses a tooth, don't tell them about the witches part. Or do. All right, sometimes the internet hands us a story that's so bizarre, so utterly inexplicable that all we could do is shake our heads. It's time for my favorite segment, but why though? All right, let's talk about the biggest lie from my childhood, one that I just as an adult figured out was a lie. Turning the interior car light on while you're driving is illegal. You reach up, you flip the switch because you want to see something in the car, and suddenly your mom turns into Liam Neeson from Taken. If you turn that light on, I will find you and we will go to jail. But here's the kicker. Not illegal. Never was. So why did parents across the US all agree to gaslight us about this? Turns out it had nothing to do with the law. It had everything to do with distraction and irritation. Imagine this. You're driving, trying to keep everybody safe. You're balancing a coffee, trying to remember if you paid the light bill, and your kids are screaming in the back. And now your car just lit up like a disco ball. It's chaos. But instead of parents saying, hey, that's annoying, they cranked it up to DEFCON 1. It's illegal. The police will pull us over because they know you're probably more scared of the police than you are of being annoying to your mother. This myth is so ingrained in us, I feel like it goes back to the beginning of time. Like cavemen were telling their cave children, don't you touch the torch in the cave. The saber-toothed tiger will get us. It's just good old-fashioned parenting creativity. If it distracts me, it's illegal. Honestly, it's amazing we didn't grow up thinking more things were illegal, like singing at the dinner table at a restaurant, running in the house, going inside and outside. But why though? Here's my question for you guys. What's the most ridiculous lie your parents ever told you about something in the house or the car? Because we're starting a support group for kids traumatized by the car light myth. I'd like to be the president. And there you have it. The car light myth, not illegal, just inconvenient. Why? Because parenting is hard. And sometimes a lie makes it a little easier. And finally, number 1 on the list of lies we tell our children and the history behind it, it's the big guy, good old Santa Claus. The jolly old man that sneaks into your house every year to leave presents. But where does he really come from? Well, buckle up folks, Santa's got a wild origin story. Santa's roots date back to a wild mashup of folklore, including St. Nicholas and Krampus. Yeah, Krampus, a horned demon who punished naughty kids. In some European traditions, St. Nicholas didn't just leave gifts if you were good. He had Krampus as his backup deal for kids who were naughty. He didn't just leave them lumps of coal. He literally dragged them to hell. Think of it as a holiday buddy cop movie, but terrifying. It wasn't until Coca-Cola came around in the 1930s that Santa Claus got his glow up. Gone were the scary punishments. They were replaced by rosy cheeks, a laugh, and a suspiciously modern vibe for somebody who is centuries old. They turned him from a folklore, horrifying anti-hero into a mascot. Capitalism strikes again. Tell me what you think. Should we bring back the scary Santa or just keep the jolly one? I think these kids could use a little taste of Krampus. No, dragging kids to hell is a lot. Never mind. No Krampus. So there you have it, folks. The top lies we tell our kids and the spooky and weird stories behind them. From spirits freezing your face to witches cursing your teeth, sometimes the truth is way scarier than the lie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week on the show, we're getting in the holiday spirit. We're talking about your favorite holiday movies and the things that you did not know went on set or behind the scenes. You're not going to want to miss this. And if you love this episode, please check out last week's episode where we talked all about the most pivotal elections that changed the course of America. I'll see you next Friday.